This video is sponsored by Boxy. Stick around till later to learn more.
Did we like Avengers? Okay, this is our first review since Happy Channel. So I'm excited now to talk about the gummies, to talk about what we think. We just finished the Avengers. This is purely a campaign thing. Now, I've actually
done the end game as well, so.
Okay, cool. Well, I've done the campaign, and I've also got the opportunity to play with other people within the campaign. So there is some stuff to talk about. Where do we start? Maybe the drop. Then we get into it.
Okay, so, Marvel's Avengers.
Actually, we do have something Marvel.
Oh, yeah, you've got the cup, nice.
We do.
Thanks, Mum.
But, our mum bought us this. She also bought me a Marvel pillow.
And she bought me Captain America pajamas.
And she also bought me a duffel bag full of Marvel comic stuff.
Correct.
Our mum's pretty cool. She's pretty fetch.
Cool. She's with it. She knows what's up.
She's definitely
so, alright, let's talk about the Avengers. Now, it's really complicated, to be honest with you.
I don't hate it. I don't love it.
I hate what it is now, for sure. Hate's a strong word. I really dislike what it is now. I think there's so many problems with this game. So many problems that just make it
space, yeah.
Like it's just to this game at this point, okay? But the combat is so good.
What?
Yeah. The combat.
No, you're kidding me.
Yes. The combat, and having spent, because I spent 50 hours of it now, right? Over 50 hours actually. Combat is so good that if they can fix the rest of the game that sits around it, I actually think this will be very, very good in future. That's my hot take at the top.
Let's
unpack all that,
have
shall
a
we?
different opinion.
All right, let's go, Sam. What do you think? High level thoughts on the Avengers?
Okay, so I was only interested by the end of it, the campaign at least.
Sure.
Purely for the story.
Sure.
The way that it was just wave rooms and standing in a position, just letting more and more robots come at you. It was, for me, the combat was not fun, and a game based around the idea of you are the Avengers, you are going to be fighting all the time, or a lot of it. It should be, at its core, really fun, and I just didn't find that really fun. I felt like it was extremely button mashy. A lot of shield mechanics that the enemies that they've implemented into the enemies.
Yes.
That you would have to like charge up something, but the charge was too long. That's the tip of the iceberg of like things that I felt. Just the tip of the Avengers that I felt that were just mismanaged in the combat sphere. I just did not like it in so many aspects. You know, I did like Black Widow. I did think Cap felt really good to play. But when it comes to like Hulk or even Iron Man to an extent, I just felt like they were hollow in a way. There's a lot of patchy things in terms of combat. And for me, combat was what I was expecting to be the main attractor of this game.
Sure. I agree. I agree with some of that.
You don't, actually.
No, I agree with some of that. I definitely do. I think we should talk first about like the structure of this game, okay? So, it is a single-player game with the multiplayer end-game fucking bullshit stapled onto it at the end, okay? So,
but also co-op throughout.
Yeah, well, when it works, which it doesn't right now, by the way. Matchmaking is completely balked. I've been playing this game for about, I said, at least 50 hours. I think I've successfully match-made 4 times.
Once for me. Only once.
Okay. So it's actually completely broken at this point. It does not work. Anyway, look, there's a single player campaign where you're playing through these missions, and there's a mix of missions within that, like which are the structured or sort of curated, very like exciting, very kind of like roller coaster ride missions. That you're like, this is very cool. I like this, okay? And then they sort of want to pace it a bit, so then they throw you out into their multiplayer bullshit, where they drop you into these big empty maps, and you run around doing like nonsense for a while, and then the mission ends, okay?
Yep.
When this game is doing those single-player missions, it's actually a really good single-player campaign, right? Won't spoil all of it, but certainly some of the big moments that come out in certain locations, meeting certain characters, doing certain things, you're like, oh, cool, well done. Like, you know, good job, Crystal Dynamics, for making a really cool, set piece moment for this game,
Definitely a lot of high moments in terms of explosions. Exactly what you would want to see from an Avengers game.
Sure.
And I think you're right. In the single player, there was definitely some moments where I'm like, these are ticking the boxes.
Yeah.
In what I was expecting, and as I said in Laymen Live, I was going to be comparing this slightly to Spider-Man because it's another superhero game that's come out relatively recently and did a fantastic job at that, right? So I was going to be comparing this. In some moments, I'm like, this is kind of living up to that cinematic experience that I loved from Spider-Man.
But I would say, though, even in the Avengers' best moments, it doesn't hold a candle to the best moments of Spider-Man.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
there's some, the Thor electricity moments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we won't spoil it.
Sure.
But all in all,
spoil it, but the Thor electricity moment.
Thor has electricity. People know this. So look, there are some cool moments.
Definitely. And I would say as well, the story is very good.
The story had heart, I feel, throughout the whole thing. Kamala Khan did actually deliver for me. As we said also before, I was a little bit hesitant about Kamala. I thought, you know, are you introducing someone that's not an Avenger into the Avengers when people just want to play the Avengers?
Yeah.
It's risky territory, right? But they did a really good job. Without Kamala, this game would have been like 30% as good.
I
like,
agree,
legit.
yeah, because the Avengers, like, the rest of them kind of have no personality. Like, they're really flat and
they're just fighting all the time with each other.
And then they're like, we're having a fight, and then like 2 minutes later, the same cutscene, they're like, oh man, I'm really sorry about that thing I just said. You know, it's like, all right, that happens like 6 times, you know? So it's predictable, but it definitely made me laugh sometimes. I like Kamala's performance and like what she brings to the story. I like the whole thing came together quite well. I think it's good. Should you buy this game to experience the sort of 10-ish hours campaign? I don't think it's worth $60, but I definitely think that if this goes on sale and you can pick this up for $20, $25,
I would say even 40 Aussie. I'm thinking Aussie terms.
Yeah, no, that's
Oh, sorry, okay,
so
sure.
like $20 US, $25. I think that you'd have a good time with this for 10 hours. It's worth it. I would say that at a high level, right?
Yeah. I would say by the time I finished the campaign, I did have an enjoyable experience. I would say that most people that even dabble in the Marvel universe and like those characters and want to play and feel like Iron Man will have a good experience.
Sure.
This is not a terrible game. This is just a game that feels like it's live service 101. It's just not finished.
It's unfinished.
Because there's so many things they want to jam in, like all live service. They want to do a campaign and an end game and multiplayer and co-op, and they just want to like throw it all in together. And a loot game, which we'll get to. You know, there's just so many things they want to throw in. If they really focused on just delivering a fantastic campaign and look to do the other things in the future, this would have been a really, really solid game. You can feel like they had a lot of things that they were juggling.
I feel like this is probably a good segue to talk about the end game and how that works, okay? The end game is essentially just Destiny without the raids. It's shameless how much of a Destiny clone this is. When you arrive at the Chimera, which is the base of operations ship thing, it's essentially the Tower 2.0. You walk up to NPCs and they have like, hey man, what's up? And they're standing there on the right-hand side of the screen. Yes. And on the left-hand side of the screen are little squares. Each of those is a bounty that you pick up, which is daily challenge. And it gives you faction rep. And then if you continue to level up your faction rep, every time you get a faction level up, you get a loot, like, reward thing when you come back to them.
Even the UI, like the way you move over it and shit.
Like there's mission modifiers, which is the same. There's your whole light level system.
Dismantle stuff to get
all
like,
of that.
You know.
There's a power-based system. So there's a level for your character. They max out at level 50, but there's also a power level, which is from your gear, and you're collecting gear and you're dismantling it, picking it up, getting higher level stuff. You cap out at 130, and then you need to continue to up that gear or upgrade that gear up to a max of 150. It's essentially just Destiny. So there's a chance that you'll get into this. You know, there's no doubt at all in my mind that this will find an audience for that reason alone.
I would say though, I've never seen a Ludo shooter or a Ludo brawler that felt so jammed in.
Yeah, totally.
It feels so jammed in. I thought Ghost Recon felt bad.
Yeah.
You know, number one, you don't even see the cosmetics. And look, some people might say, who gives a shit? Well,
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
It's an aspect of it. It's built into the DNA. It's a looter shooter. If I've looted that loot, I want to now feel the gratification of seeing it. Like, it's just so baked into it, right? It's weird not to really experience that. You know, I really feel like they tried to have their cake and eat it too by giving you a looter shooter and a cosmetic store when it really could have been coupled together. I understand that they need to make a crumb in a year's time if they're really looking to do a live service model, even though I think the monetization in its current form is horrendous. They just really have taken the piss how they're trying to do this.
Yeah.
And the looter aspect of it, at no point was I like, oh, sick, I picked this up, I'm so excited to see what it is. I merely just...
Oh, this is the best Hulk spine I've ever found!
I mean, that's another thing. Like, they're giving, like, with Hulk, you change his bones and shit.
His ribcage. Oh, that's a great... I love that Hulk ribcage, man.
Absolutely ridiculous.
It is definitely super jammed in. In terms of what this gear does, it's generally passive benefit. So it'll say things like, get a damage boost when you punch something. It's like, oh, well, I wasn't going to punch something before.
But now
I got this item, I better start punching things.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I've given a lot of thought to why this loot system sucks so badly. Okay, I think loot games, if they're going to be a loot game, the loot actually needs to fundamentally change how you play. Okay, this loot doesn't do that. Okay, it's literally just passive benefit stuff. That's it. Where that difference comes in is in the skill trees. Now, this is why it kind of like makes sense to me now. All the ways that we typically modify our characters with gear are actually modified in the skill trees in this game. And that means that the gear game is completely garbage. You could actually fully delete the gear game from this game and nothing of value would be lost. The one weird exception to this is that like gear has stats that buffs certain like combat things. So, you can actually buff your melee damage versus your range damage. You could build Hulk as a ranged character if you want to. That's dumb. No, I'm sorry, but it is. Like, why would we want...
It's not necessarily dumb.
It's super dumb. Like, why are we trying to build Hulk as a ranged character when Iron Man exists and Hawkeye exists? Like, the Avengers, they have their own strengths. Like, why do we have the option to say, oh, I really like when I can pick up pavement and hurl that as Hulk, so therefore I'm going to put all points into... like ranged abilities. That's silly. You know what I mean?
It's the same problem that Diablo had. That as a warrior, you'd just pick up armor that had plate armor that had heaps of intellect.
Correct. 100%. That's kind of exactly
idea.
What it is. All it does right now is create this kind of stat bloat. I guarantee you one thing: the loot game and the stat system in this game will be unrecognizable 12 to 18 months from now. They have to completely overhaul this because it's just so full of nonsense and ridiculousness and like counterintuitive bullshit. They have to rip it out and change it.
That's the point I wanted to get onto next. I feel like this game, whatever it is now, whatever the review cycle is saying now, it is going to be a completely different game in 12 to 18 months. We've seen it with pretty much all live service models, apart from Anthem 2, whatever it's going to be. They all work hard to get to the next level or get to a level of completion to try and play this game more now in the end game area.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will be playing a completely different game in the future.
Yeah, that's the other thing. In-game content, there's none right now. Like
all live service.
Like all live service games, there's just nothing there. Like 3 or 4 mission types, go and stand on a thing, go and beat up a generator, go and kill some bad guys.
Yeah.
You do that in like one of 3 different settings, really. There are these missions called hives, which are like multi-floor missions where you just do like one, then the next, then the next, then the next, and just randomly throwing stuff at you. Of all the things that I'm worried about with this game, the lack of end-game content right now is not one of them.
No, I agree. It's never the thing in live service.
Totally. Like, they'll add more stuff in the future. I would love if it was different, but at the end of the day, this is what it is now. I'm very much viewing this game as like, is it worth purchasing right now? I think not so much, but maybe if you're really keen on it. And then secondly, like, is it going to be good in the future? I think it actually will be, right? And I think that's because of the combat. I think we should talk about combat in detail.
I do, yeah, sure. I think that's where we probably differ. I feel like the bones of this thing is going to be the combat. The story is never going to be the thing that people latch onto. Like The Last of Us, the bones of that is predominantly going to be the story. Like that's what people want to see more of and be there for. Avengers, people are going to be wanting to line up for more and more combat.
Yeah.
This, for me, was lackluster. I did not really feel like by the, even halfway through, not even by the end of it, halfway through, I'm like, I'm so over having to do similar wave mob situations, very similar enemies, and the actual combat itself just felt way too button mashy. And I think that in 12 or 18 months, a lot of things will change, but I worry about, am I still going to be having the exact same fighting mechanics and the exact same button mashing reactions to most rooms? Because it just lends itself to that. Spider-Man also you could mash, but there was such a fluidity to it that you'd naturally want to do other things. I did see glimmers of really cool stuff like Black Widow and her verticality. I thought that was really cool how she could zip line and the combos that could come out of that. That was really rewarding. But a lot of the other characters, I'm just like, man, this is just, I'm mashing X the whole time because it's the fastest, most efficient way. And I'm sure people are going to be like, well, there's so many things you can do. If X is the fastest way to kill someone, that's what I'm predominantly going to do, you know? True, right? Oh, that's so true, guys. Like most people, I want to kill that enemy. If I can just mash X and kill that enemy the quickest.
Okay, but like the fact is later on, okay, as someone who has a maxed out character playing at the end game versus someone who's halfway through the game, as in like you finished the campaign only, I agree with what you're saying.
I finished the campaign and I'm already like, oh.
No, but I think I was at a similar place with you when I finished the campaign. I'm like, oh, I'm really not sure about this combat, man, whatever else, okay? Then I finished unlocking my character and the rest of the skill tree. It's a real shame, to be honest with you, how they've built this game because you don't get to experience the best part of combat unless you grind out your character in really, really boring bullshit post-game, okay?
Well, that's actually, I think that's bad in itself.
I agree with that. I 100%
so many
agree with that.
casuals are going to jump on here and go, I want to play as an Avenger. And if only the best stuff is like 50 hours down the road, that's the hook. If you can't give the hook in the first 5 hours, that's a problem.
The best stuff is 50 hours down the road. I tell you that, like, because I've fully unlocked Cap now. It's pretty amazing what you can do with this combat system when you really get going with it. It's not a button mashy game. It's 1,000% not button mashy. I will definitely die on that hill, no question.
I've seen that video that Yong also shared of Cap just completely like doing aerial kind of combat, and it looks amazing. But I agree with that. You can do that stuff.
And I can do similar stuff to that. My point of that is it's accessible, right? A lot of you can, if you really work at it, you can very easily achieve that level of finesse and make your character do fucking sick stuff. But it's also functional as well. Like, and if you really dig into the trees and how it all works, it's not just looking good for the sake of looking good. There are lots of moves that have very specific functionality in specific moments, and it works, okay? Combat in this game is very good. I'll tell you that. Like I said, I've endgamed Cap, I've played all the characters. I think Hulk's a little bit, I'm not so sure about that one, but otherwise I think it's very solid. The biggest problem is enemy design, okay?
Oh, it's horrendous.
Enemy design in this game is so bad, it ruins combat. Like so often, okay? You've got all these enemies that are spamming their block all the time, and it just makes you feel like you just can't actually play the game, you know?
Be fluid in the moment as an Avenger.
You've got them spamming all of these unblockable attacks all the time.
And they're spongy, man. Like some of these enemies are like, oh my god, die!
Yes.
Like when you finally get through that shield, you really want to be rewarded with a big chunk of damage. And some of these times, some of these enemies, I'm like, oh man, like I'm back to now having to like dodge the block, or like hold B to jump over you, or hold Y and hope that you're just away enough that it just charges long enough to, you know, break that block. It completely stagnates combat for me. I just feel like it's like, whoa, you know, it stops everything.
There's one robot, the big robot, like that you have to punch, and then when you punch him, he has these flame vents, and they fire off after like 2 seconds. Right? Yes. So you have to punch this guy for 2 seconds. Stand back, rotate around him, punch him for 2 seconds, stand back. Like, there's snipers that just hang at the back and they can one-shot you. And like, they're not snipers actually, the Rocketeers. They fire these fucking rockets.
They do so much damage.
You can't even see them because there's too much shit going on around you, but they have these enemies that are able to one-shot you. If they fix the enemy design in this game, I think it allows combat to breathe a lot more and will be vastly better game. Vastly better.
I think we've spoken about this before. Destiny really nails like it's really considered what the enemies should do in a battlefield. And I feel like this one, it just feels so generic in terms of the way that the enemies exist, with no consideration of what my abilities are and how I want to fight in that battleground against these enemies. I'm looking forward to DLC or other things in the future where they take that into consideration and they really start designing enemies, A, that aren't just robots, and B, there's a lot of robots, okay? There are some humans too, but it's predominantly robots. I'm looking forward to DLC where they really allow each enemy to like complement the Avengers fighting mechanics.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
I think the biggest problem with combat is that you've got this fantastic combat system that can't breathe because it's being suffocated by too many enemies at once, by unblockable attacks that you're constantly having to dodge, by enemies just that have their shield up and they just force you to do some kind of move that you don't want to do, by bullet spongy enemies, by rocketeers in the distance just KOing you all of a sudden, by too many fucking flying drones, like so many.
And turrets.
And turrets, oh my god,
Everywhere.
every time you walk into a new environment, you're like, where are the turrets? 1, 2, 3, 4. Are there any more turrets? Oh, there's 2 more over there. 5, 6. Okay, now I can play the game. And then after that, you can start fighting. You know, like there's just all of these things pile up to make it so unpleasant. But when they prune all this back, I think it's going to be great, because I really do believe that this combat system, I love playing as Cap, I really do.
Yeah.
Endgame Cap, I just love it, you know? So I think that is going to be great when they fix the rest of it.
The last thing I want to say before we wrap up is monetization quickly.
No, there's also bugs.
Okay, bugs, quickly, that is probably the worst AAA game I've ever seen ship.
It is the worst AAA game
Constantly
I've ever seen
cinematic moments, some of the stuff like her knapsack thing that Kamala has will just like start ferociously moving around because it accidentally touches the side of a table, or like just bugs or crashes, frame drops constantly. As some of these cinematic moments grow, as the story grows in the campaign, the demand on the machine is a lot higher, and there's a hell of a lot of frame drops. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, you have some fun stuff that you're going to show in your review.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I've said this is worse than Fallout 76. I 100% stand behind that, okay? Fallout 76 had a lot of bugs, but you could, like, kind of laugh at those bugs. The game was still playable, if you know what I mean. Like, it was dumb, like T-posing and the whatever, but the game could still be played. Do you know what I mean? This is unplayable so often because it's an action game that's reliant upon split-second timing and taking in your environment and whatever else. But like the frame rate is chugging down to literally 10 frames a second so regularly. I know, I've heard it's better on consoles, or PS4 and Xbox. On PC, on a 2080 Ti, this is an absolute train wreck. I had so much stuttering in the second half of my campaign. I'll show clips of it later on my own review, but like, I couldn't believe how much stuttering I was getting. Matchmaking completely doesn't work. You do things to progress your battle pass that doesn't actually register. That's broken. This game is like eating people's skins. I've seen reports of that. Like you get some cool skin drop or whatever, and then it just gets deleted.
Yeah.
People's credits aren't coming through. Like the game has crashed for me at least 10 times as I've been playing it. Sometimes when I'm on like the 5th floor of a mission and I put like 40 minutes into it, game crashed, over. You know what I mean? Like, this is definitely the worst AAA game I have played in terms of sheer frustration of trying to do this thing. Oh my god.
The last thing I'll say on that too, like the biggest thing for me was sometimes, like, for instance, the door in the Chimera to the hangar would make the sound that it would open because I need to go in and speak to someone, but it didn't open, so I can't even progress in the campaign.
Sure.
I had to go and do a mission back at the war table just for it to reset so I could get through the hangar.
Yeah.
Like, just weird shit like that would happen. So like, there was not only, I agree with you, some stuff that stopped you actually being able to move forward in the campaign.
So often.
But look, that's bad, but the monetization for me is like, oh my god, I've paid 120 Australian dollars to play early. I've got 2 skins extra per character or whatever.
I think it's 1 per character.
I think, or maybe it's 1 or 2. It's not a lot. There's another 30 different skins or 24 different skins.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so criminal how much you have not only charged me for the deluxe edition, but you haven't really justified that purchase for me. And it's so expensive to buy these skins.
Crazy.
It's 24 Australian dollars, which is like $15 US for each skin. That's a lot. Like, that's a full price game. We're not talking about a free to play market here. You know, this is yet again another game taking the piss in the AAA space. And I know it's like beating a dead horse now.
Yeah.
But like, you need to know that if you're buying this game and you want all the skins, like, you're going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars extra on top of buying a full price game.
And everyone's like, oh, you can grind for them. It's like, well, dude, you know, okay, the battle passes. That's another thing, okay? It's $10 a battle pass, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so pro-consumer because you can earn the credits back and whatever else." Go and grind this battle pass, man. It's ridiculous. Like, they actually cap you daily on how much progress you can make in the battle pass. It's so glacially slow to progress through it. It's ridiculous, and also it's not fun either because you have to like do this bullshit like you know, as Cap, instead of just like playing the game, you have to like reflect damage for 10 enemies, and it's not like, oh cool, I really want to play Cap and progress my battle pass and whatever else. You have to do annoying bullshit to get it done. And it's not pro-consumer, man, I'm sorry. Like if you're paying $10 for this thing...
And full price game.
And a full price game, and the skins, like I'm just so like, are you fucking kidding me? There's no way in hell that these prices should be what they are. It's just, no.
As I said before, I do believe a game should be able to earn a crumb if it is going to have a live service model. I don't believe that you should implement all these skins at the get-go. If you are buying this game for $80, $90, $120 Australian, I expect a big chunk of the game and the skins to be available to me. And if I'm playing in a year's time and I'm still reaping the content out of you, then yes, sure, monetize some stuff down the road. But the way that they've done this from the get-go is like, wow.
I agree.
It's just so evil, man. Like,
it's just gross.
And so many people that love Avengers are just gonna get sucked into this shit because everyone wants to have the Hulk skin. There's 5 different Hulk skins that he's wearing a suit. Yeah. And they just have different
pocket
square colors, man. And they're all $24 a pop or some shit. Sure. It's a joke, man. But look, silly. You know, it's just, you know, one of the small things that are wrong with this game. Having said that, high level thoughts. I do think that there's redeemable qualities here. Sure. It was fun to see the story unfold. It was fun to play as Avengers. The combat for me does need a lot of work, but you and a lot of other people, I'm sure, enjoy the combat. It is a fine game if it was not ran with monetization, if it wasn't ran with bugs. It's still a fine game to play, and if people want to just experience the campaign, it's money well spent if it was a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I feel very similar to this as I did to Destiny 1, where I picked up Destiny 1 and I'm like, oh, okay, I get why this sucks, but there's definitely something here. There's definitely something that's going to be great one day, okay? I have the exact same thoughts with this. I think this really sucks right now. I think this actually sucks way worse than Destiny 1 did at launch, by the way, because the bugs and the monetization, and just in terms of like mission design as well, enemy design, they're all worse, okay? But the very core of this game is it fun to play as an Avenger? And is it deep enough and rewarding enough that you want to continue to do it in the long term, okay? I think the answer to both of those questions is yes. And from that foundation, I think this game has a bright future. Like, I really do. I think that when they fix all of the things, it's going to take 12 to 18 months at least. But when they do it all, you're going to be left with a pretty cool game. And if you pick it up in that time, like after that time, I'm very sure you'll have a good time with it. So for now, I think there's a good chance you'll enjoy this right now, right? A lot of people are loving it. Very, very positive sentiment out there. So if it interests you, go and check it out, okay? If, however, you're someone that doesn't have the patience of a saint, or you're not really juiced into the Marvel Universe and you like fucking need it,
or you don't love shield blocking every enemy,
then sit back and wait and pick it up in a year's time, 18 months. And I think at that point in time, you're going to enjoy yourself. Until then, this is a train wreck.
That's it, guys.
That's it, guys. First Laymen positive review.
Laymen out.
Boxu Taste Test Challenge.
Here we go.
I'm going to give Sam things, and he needs to tell me what they are, okay?
Wear your mask.
Okay, so you have to wear your mask, all right? That's the thing. All right, so Sam, tell me.
Okay.
What is this?
Oh. Okay. Ooh.
You have to eat it, Sam. Don't touch it.
Okay, it's the nicest cookie I've ever had, everybody.
Wow.
It's a cookie?
It's a chocolate cookie.
It is real nice.
There you go. How about this? This looks kind of weird. Let's try these things, whatever they are. Let's have a look.
Weird, but wonderful, Ralph. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, try these. Let's try what these are.
Okay.
Wait,
okay, it's a chip. Okay. Oh, I can hear you crunch it.
What flavor is it,
Oh my
Sam?
god, like a barbecue pork thing? Am I alright?
I'm gonna find out. Luckily, it has a handy guide that tells you what's in there.
How
so
amazing!
You can look it up and you can see. And here we go. These are curry senbei mini rice cracker. It's a Japanese curry cracker.
Oh, they're very nice. Let's do one more.
All right, let's
do one more.
Let's check out what this is.
Joke, Sam, it's antifreeze. Oh, well, I've eaten it now.
This is two. These one. Eat that. Don't eat that.
What?
It's moist.
Very okie dokie. All right. I'm getting a hint of nasu and a hint of anime.
Okay, that is Rabbit Festival Golden Sweet Potato Cake.
That's very nice.
This cake is made with the Naruto Kintoki sweet potato, which is a bright purple skin, golden interior.
Naruto
It is known
run?
for its rich natural. You just ate the Naruto.
Boxu is the only Japanese snack box that partners with over 100-year-old family snack makers to deliver Japan-exclusive snacks to your door.
You can order an individual box, single month or multi-month subscription starting at $24.99 per box. Your box is sent with free shipping and tracking to over 40 countries.
Okay, so what's inside? So while I tell you what's inside, Ralph, you can eat something. Because I like what we did last time.
These cookies are really good, actually.
Okay, let's continue that.
They're kind of like Subway cookies.
They're very nice. Okay?
They are actually
Eat
like...
fresh, everybody, okay? What do you get in the box? 20 to 25 classic or 10 to 14 tasting Japanese snacks, candies, and tea pairing curated around a fun cultural theme. 20-plus page cultural guide magazine that details each product's origin, flavors, and even common allergens, which is important. Free shipping worldwide from Japan, plus free tracking to over 40 countries. Check out, guys, the link in the description. It is 10% off, save up to $44 dues, or even freedom dollars, okay? Check it out in the link in the description. Thank you so much, Boxu, for sponsoring the video. We'll see you next time. Laymen out!